Hey guys, tonight we're embarking on a truly groundbreaking journey, one that will take you far, far back in time to the very dawn of human comfort. Imagine yourself drifting off to sleep, your head gently cradled, perhaps by a fluffy cloud of down, or maybe a firm, supportive memory foam marvel. Now, clear that image from your mind. Tonight, we're stripping away centuries of innovation and indulgence to discover the humble and often surprisingly unhumble origins of the very object beneath your head right now, the pillow. You're about to experience a history so profoundly soothing, you might just find yourself nodding off before we even reach the Bronze Age. And honestly, you probably won't survive the initial discomfort of some of these ancient prototypes. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you in the comments below. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself in the vast, sun-baked plains of ancient Mesopotamia, a land of sprawling cities and ingenious inventions. It's around 7000 BCE, and while you might expect to see plush cushions, what greets you instead is a sight that would make your neck ache just looking at it. The very first pillows, if you can even call them that, weren't designed for comfort at all. Oh no, you're looking at elevated blocks, often made of stone or wood, sometimes even pottery. Imagine trying to get a good night's rest on a brick. Sounds delightful, doesn't it? These weren't for sinking into. In fact, their primary purpose was rather practical: to keep insects, rodents, and other creepy crawlies from crawling into people's noses, mouths, and ears while they slept on the floor. It was a matter of hygiene and, frankly, survival, more than luxurious slumber. You watch as a Mesopotamian artisan meticulously carves a block of limestone, smoothing its edges. This isn't just any block. It's destined to become someone's headrest. Historians still argue whether these early designs were also intended to prevent specific types of ancient ailments, perhaps related to poor air quality or even spirits entering the body. What's clear is that these weren't for softness. There's a certain grim efficiency to it, isn't there? Here, have this rock. It'll keep the bugs out. Sweet dreams, or perhaps sweet nightmares of scorpions. It's a far cry from the pillow-top mattress you might be envisioning. Think of it. No fluffy cotton, no plush feathers, just a solid, unyielding surface. Yet, even in this stark simplicity, you can see the nascent desire for a better night's rest, or at least a safer one. It's almost charming in its pragmatism, isn't it? A bit like finding out the first shoes were just leaves tied to feet to avoid thorns. You wouldn't wear them to a gala, but they served their purpose. And speaking of purpose, another quirky tidbit about these early Mesopotamian headrests is that some were found in tombs, suggesting they weren't just for the living. It seems even in the afterlife, a good, albeit hard, headrest was considered essential, perhaps to keep the dust mites of the underworld at bay. You observe a family settling down for the night, each person carefully positioning their head on their designated block. There's no complaining, no adjusting. This is simply how things are done. It's a testament to human adaptability, isn't it? To find comfort, or at least a semblance of it, even on a literal rock. This foundational step, as unyielding as it was, set the stage for millennia of innovation, all driven by that fundamental human need for a good night's sleep, or at least a bug-free one. From the arid plains of Mesopotamia, you gently float across the sands of time, landing softly in ancient Egypt, roughly 3000 BCE. Here, the concept of the pillow takes a fascinating and decidedly more artistic turn. Forget those crude stone blocks. The Egyptians, ever the innovators, weren't so much interested in cushioning your head as they were in elevating it, in doing so with a certain undeniable flair. You're now observing the widespread use of the Egyptian headrest, a distinctive and often beautifully crafted object that served a similar purpose to its Mesopotamian predecessor, keeping your head off the ground and away from unwelcome nocturnal visitors, but with a significant spiritual twist. These headrests, typically made from wood, stone, ceramic, or sometimes even ivory for the elite, weren't designed for squishy comfort. They were essentially curved stands, often delicately carved, that supported the neck and the back of the head, allowing air to circulate. Imagine trying to sleep on something that looks less like a pillow and more like a miniature artistic stool. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Yet, the Egyptians found these surprisingly effective. Perhaps it was a case of what you don't know won't hurt your neck. You watch a noblewoman gracefully recline, her intricately braided hair perfectly balanced on a polished ebony headrest. It's less about sinking in and more about precise alignment. One of the mainstream historical facts about these headrests is their profound religious and symbolic significance. They weren't just practical items. They were believed to be integral to the journey into the afterlife. Many headrests were found in tombs, often placed beneath the mummified heads of the deceased. The Egyptians believed that the headrest would help lift the deceased into the realm of the gods, protecting them during their eternal slumber and ensuring their spiritual awakening. It's a rather poignant thought, isn't it? That even in death, They sought to safeguard the head, the seat of the soul, and consciousness. Now, for a truly quirky tidbit, some Egyptian headrests have been discovered with small, almost imperceptible grooves or indentations on the top. Historians still argue whether these were purely decorative, intended to aid in the precise positioning of the neck, or perhaps even designed to hold certain aromatic herbs or oils, believing they enhanced dreams or warded off evil spirits. Imagine having a headrest infused with, say, ancient Egyptian lavender. It certainly beats a plain old block of stone, and you can almost hear a modern tourist whispering, "Do they have these with a memory foam option?" You can almost feel the dry desert air as you observe daily life. People are not just sleeping on these headrests. They're using them for daytime lounging, perhaps enjoying a quiet moment by the Nile. It suggests a culture that, while perhaps not prioritizing plush comfort in our modern sense, certainly valued elevation and perhaps a cool breeze on the back of the neck. It also highlights a fascinating aspect of ancient design: functionality often intertwined with deeply held beliefs. The pillow wasn't just a thing, it was a conduit, a protector, a spiritual assistant. And unlike our modern, generic pillows, each one felt like a piece of art, often personalized or imbued with meaning. No two looked quite the same, a far cry from today's rows of identical rectangles in a department store. Leave behind the artistic headdress of ancient Egypt. You now find yourself witnessing a gradual shift in the pursuit of sleep comfort. It's still the ancient world, but you're moving beyond the purely practical and the deeply symbolic. You're beginning to see the first tentative steps towards what we might recognize as a pillow in the modern sense, something designed not just to elevate your head, but to soften its resting place. You're observing the early experiments with materials beyond stone and wood, the first hesitant attempts to create a more yielding, more forgiving surface for weary heads. You're no longer confined to the hard surfaces of Mesopotamia or the elegantly curved stands of Egypt. You're seeing the introduction of materials like cloth, leather, and even animal skins, stuffed with rudimentary fillings like straw, hay, or dried leaves. Imagine the rustling sound of a pillow filled with dried leaves. It might not be the most luxurious experience, but it's a definite step up from a block of granite. You watch as someone carefully stitches together a leather pouch, stuffing it with straw. It's a far cry from the memory foam you might be used to, but it represents a significant leap forward in the quest for a good night's sleep. One mainstream historical fact to consider is that these early softening attempts were often dictated by available resources. In regions where wood and stone were plentiful, those materials remained dominant. But in areas where textiles and animal products were more accessible, you see the emergence of these softer, albeit still quite rudimentary, pillows. It's a testament to human ingenuity, isn't it? To make the best of what you have, even when what you have is a handful of straw and a scrap of leather. Now, for a quirky tidbit, some of these early, soft pillows have been found to contain surprising and, frankly, rather unsettling fillings. Historians still debate whether these were intentional or simply the result of necessity, but we're talking about things like dried moss, animal hair, and even, in some cases, bird feathers. Imagine waking up with a face full of ancient bird feathers. Not exactly the pinnacle of sleep hygiene, is it? And you can almost hear a modern interior designer shuddering, "Darling, the thread count on that leather is simply atrocious." You observe a family carefully preparing for sleep. There's a palpable sense of care and intention in their actions. They're not just throwing themselves onto the ground, they're creating a space, however simple, for rest and rejuvenation. These early attempts at softening the pillow weren't just about physical comfort, they were about creating a sense of sanctuary, a small haven in a world that was often harsh and unforgiving. And even with their limitations, these rudimentary pillows offered a tangible improvement in sleep quality. They allowed for a more natural spinal alignment, reduced pressure points, and, perhaps most importantly, offered a psychological sense of comfort that a stone block simply couldn't provide. As the concept of a softer headrest slowly takes root, you find yourself transported to the vibrant, intellectual hubs of ancient Greece and Rome, roughly from 800 BCE to 500 CE. Here, the pillow truly comes into its own, evolving from a mere necessity into an item of leisure, comfort, and even social status. Gone are the days of just surviving the night. Now, people are actively enjoying their rest, and their pillows reflect this newfound appreciation for relaxation. You observe the Greeks lounging elegantly on Klein, their reclining couches, engaging in philosophical debates or enjoying lavish banquets. And what do you notice? Beneath their heads are not hard blocks, but increasingly plush, stuffed supports. These aren't just for sleeping anymore. They're integral to the art of lounging, a sophisticated way of life. The Greeks, known for their love of comfort and their pursuit of intellectual and physical well-being, recognized the value of a well-placed cushion. Their pillows were often filled with straw, reeds, or even wool, a significant upgrade from the scratchy animal hair of earlier eras. Imagine reclining at a symposium, sipping wine, and discussing the nature of reality, all while your head is gently supported by a surprisingly comfortable, albeit still rustic, pillow. It's certainly a step up from dodging scorpions on a stone. Move a little further in time and geography, and you're in the heart of the Roman Empire, where opulence and practicality often went hand in hand. The Romans took the Greek concept of leisure and ran with it, transforming their homes into havens of comfort. Pillows in Roman households became even more varied and luxurious. You see them made from finer fabrics, sometimes even silk, and stuffed with softer materials like feathers, a true luxury item in this era. The wealthy Romans would have multiple pillows, not just for sleeping, but for reclining on couches during meals, the famous triclinium, for reading, or simply for relaxing in their villas. This marks a mainstream historical fact. The pillow's transition from purely functional to a symbol of wealth and comfort. If you had soft, down-filled pillows, you were definitely doing well. For a quirky tidbit, historians still argue whether some Roman pillows were also infused with aromatic herbs for therapeutic purposes, or simply to mask less pleasant household odors. Imagine a Roman senator's pillow wafting notes of chamomile, or perhaps something a bit more pungent, depending on the day. And you can almost hear a modern minimalist complaining, "Do I really need 4 pillows just to eat dinner?" You witness the vibrant scenes of Roman life, the murmurs of conversation, the clinking of goblets. The pillow, once a humble necessity, is now an active participant in social life, a testament to a society that understood the art of relaxation. This era truly cemented the idea that a pillow could be more than just a headrest. It could be an object of personal indulgence, a silent companion in moments of quiet reflection, or a comfortable prop during boisterous feasts. It shows how human comfort, when given the chance, will always find a way to flourish, adapting and refining itself, one stuffed cushion at a time. Drifting eastward from the Mediterranean, you now arrive in the ancient and rich civilizations of East Asia, particularly China, around the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 CE, and later Japan. Here, the pursuit of a comfortable and practical headrest took a distinctly different, yet equally ingenious, path, focusing heavily on materials like ceramic and silk. This era introduces you to pillows that are not just objects of comfort, but often exquisite works of art, reflecting a deep appreciation for craftsmanship and practical innovation. You observe artisans meticulously shaping clay, preparing it for the kiln. These aren't just any clay pots. They are destined to become ceramic pillows. Yes, you heard that right. Ceramic pillows. While the idea of resting your head on a piece of pottery might sound as appealing as a Mesopotamian stone block, these ceramic pillows were designed with surprising ingenuity. They were often hollow, allowing for air circulation, which was particularly beneficial in the hot and humid climates of many Asian regions. Imagine the cool, smooth surface against your skin on a sweltering night. It might not be fluffy, but it's certainly efficient. This focus on cooling was a mainstream historical fact that drove much of their design. These ceramic pillows weren't just practical, they were often beautifully decorated, adorned with intricate patterns, auspicious symbols, or even scenes from daily life. Some were shaped like animals, or even human figures. You see one now, shaped like a reclining tiger, its painted stripes still vibrant after centuries. It's a far cry from the plain, utilitarian headrests of earlier eras, showcasing a blend of art and function that was characteristic of East Asian craftsmanship. For a quirky tidbit, some ceramic pillows were designed with small compartments or openings intended to hold incense or aromatic herbs. The idea was that as you slept, the gentle fragrance would permeate the air around you, perhaps aiding in relaxation, warding off insects, or even influencing dreams. Imagine a subtle waft of jasmine as you drift off. It's a much more sophisticated aromatic experience than just hoping your pillow didn't smell like old straw, isn't it? And you can almost hear a modern essential oil enthusiast exclaiming, they were doing aromatherapy centuries ago. Then, as you look towards Japan, you see the delicate artistry of silk pillows. While less rigid than their ceramic counterparts, these pillows were still often quite firm, stuffed with materials like buckwheat hulls or even rice husks. The emphasis here was on breathability and firm support, with the luxurious silk covering adding a touch of elegance and coolness. Historians still argue whether the firmness of these pillows was purely for ergonomic reasons, promoting good neck alignment, or if there was a cultural preference for a less yielding surface during sleep, perhaps connected to the practice of maintaining elaborate hairstyles. It's certainly easier to preserve a perfectly coiffed bun if your head isn't sinking into a cloud of feathers. You witness the quiet dedication in their creation, the balance between aesthetics and utility. These Asian innovations remind you that comfort takes many forms, and what one culture considers ideal for sleep, another might find completely alien. Yet, the underlying goal remains the same: a peaceful, restorative night's rest. As you gently drift from the intricate world of East Asian ceramics and silks, you find yourself landing in the rather less glamorous, yet equally fascinating, landscape of medieval Europe, spanning roughly from the 5th to the 15th century. Here, the story of the pillow takes a peculiar turn. After the relative sophistication of Roman and Asian headrests, you might expect continued innovation. Instead, you witness a widespread return to simplicity, bordering on outright austerity in pillow design. The opulent, soft cushions of the Roman elite largely disappear, replaced by far more rudimentary versions. You observe the daily lives of peasants and common folk. Their beds are often simple pallets of straw or hay laid directly on the floor. And their pillows? These are typically sacks or coarse cloth bags filled with whatever cheap and available material could be found. More straw, chaff, the husks of grain, dried leaves, or sometimes even animal hair. Imagine the scratchy, rustling sound as someone attempts to adjust their head on a pillow made of dried plant matter. It's a far cry from the luxurious, feather-filled comforts of earlier empires. You can almost feel a stray piece of straw poking your ear. This shift back to basic materials wasn't just a matter of preference. It was a mainstream historical fact driven by the economic realities and societal structures of the time. Feudalism meant that resources were often scarce for the vast majority of the population. Comfort was a luxury few could afford or even prioritize, when survival was often the primary concern. Even in noble households, while they might have had slightly better quality cloth covers, the fillings were still generally coarse and firm compared to the Roman standard. The idea of a pillow as a status symbol largely faded, replaced by its most fundamental function, simply to elevate the head. Now, for a quirky tidbit, despite the general lack of comfort, some medieval inventories do mention bolsters or head cushions being filled with feathers, but these were incredibly rare and reserved almost exclusively for royalty or the very highest clergy. For the common person, a feather pillow would have been an unimaginable luxury, like owning a private jet today. Historians still argue whether the general firmness of medieval sleeping arrangements contributed to or alleviated common neck and back problems of the era. Perhaps their spines adapted to the rustic conditions, or perhaps they simply suffered in silence. You can almost hear a modern chiropractor sighing, "Well, at least they had good posture from necessity." You watch as a medieval family prepares for bed, each person carefully punching and reshaping their straw-filled sack. There's no complaining, no fuss. This is their normal. It reminds you that comfort is often relative, and what we consider basic necessities today were once unimagined luxuries, or simply didn't exist in the same form. The medieval pillow, while humble, served its purpose, providing a modicum of separation from the cold, damp ground, a small, often prickly, bit of elevation for the weary head. It's a testament to human resilience, isn't it? To find rest, even when your head is cradled by a bundle of hay. Emerging from the relative austerity of the Middle Ages, you now find yourself amidst the vibrant intellectual and artistic flourishing of the Renaissance, roughly from the 14th to the 17th century. This era, characterized by a renewed interest in classical antiquity and a burgeoning sense of individualism, brought with it a significant change in the perception and design of the pillow. Here, the pillow doesn't just return as a practical item, it reemerges as a symbol of opulence, comfort, and even artistic expression, particularly among the burgeoning merchant class and the nobility. You observe the interiors of grand villas and palaces across Italy, and then spreading throughout Europe. No longer are beds simple straw pallets. They are becoming elaborate pieces of furniture, often adorned with rich carvings and draped with luxurious fabrics. And what accompanies these magnificent beds? Pillows, and lots of them. You see plump, soft cushions, often covered in velvet, silk, and brocade, adorned with intricate embroidery, tassels, and sometimes even gold thread. Imagine sinking your head into a pillow that feels less like a utilitarian object and more like a work of art. It's a sensory experience far removed from the rustic hay bales of yesteryear. This embrace of luxurious pillows was a mainstream historical fact driven by increased trade, wealth accumulation, and a desire to display social status. If you had an abundance of soft, beautifully decorated pillows, it was a clear sign of your prosperity and refined taste. Noble women would often supervise the creation of their own pillow covers, using needlework as a form of artistic expression. It was a subtle yet powerful statement of one's place in society. For a quirky tidbit, some Renaissance inventories mention pillows stuffed not just with feathers, but with unusual combinations, including down mixed with rose petals or other fragrant dried flowers. The idea was to create not just a soft surface, but one that emitted a subtle, pleasing aroma as you slept. Imagine a gentle waft of ancient roses as you drift off. It makes you wonder what kind of allergies they might have inadvertently created, doesn't it? And you can almost hear a modern perfumer pondering, ancient rose and goose down, a new fragrance line, perhaps. Historians still argue whether the renewed emphasis on elaborate bed linens and soft pillows during the Renaissance also contributed to a decline in certain types of parasitic infestations that were common when sleeping directly on straw. It's certainly more difficult for fleas to set up shop in silk than in a pile of hay. You witness the sheer joy on the faces of those who could afford these luxuries, a tangible improvement in their daily comfort. The Renaissance pillow was more than just a place to rest your head. It was a testament to a changing world, one where personal comfort and aesthetic beauty were increasingly valued. It shows how human desires, when given the resources, quickly move beyond mere survival to embrace refinement and luxury. As the Renaissance's soft silks and velvets begin to feel truly decadent, you feel a gentle shift, a softening in the very air around you. You're now entering an era defined by a singular innovation that would forever change the landscape of sleep comfort: the widespread introduction and adoption of feather and down fillings. This is where the pillow truly begins to approximate the soft, yielding sensation that most of us associate with it today. While feathers had appeared sporadically in earlier times as extreme luxuries, this period marks their journey towards becoming the standard. You observe the meticulous process. No longer are people merely stuffing sacks with straw. Instead, you see workers carefully collecting and sorting feathers, primarily from geese and ducks. This wasn't a quick or easy task. The feathers needed to be cleaned, dequilled, and often aired out to prevent odors and pests. Imagine the sheer volume of feathers required to fill just one large pillow, let alone an entire bed. This labor-intensive process meant that feather pillows were still a mark of status, but they were becoming increasingly accessible to the emerging middle classes, a significant mainstream historical fact. The shift to feathers brought with it an unprecedented level of comfort and warmth. Unlike rigid materials, feathers conform to the shape of the head, providing much better support and pressure relief. You can almost feel the gentle give, the way the feathers cradle your head, making sleep a genuinely plush experience. It's a sensation utterly different from the hard surfaces or rustling dry leaves of previous eras. This wasn't just a physical change, it was a psychological one, transforming sleep from a necessary chore into a truly restorative and even pleasurable activity. For a quirky tidbit, while goose down was considered the gold standard, less scrupulous pillow makers sometimes mixed in lesser quality feathers, or even, believe it or not, chicken feathers, which are far less soft and prone to breaking. Historians still argue whether the complaints about lumpy pillows in historical records are due to poor quality feathers, insufficient cleaning, or simply the natural degradation of the filling over time. You can almost hear an ancient customer grumbling, "My goose down pillow feels suspiciously like a chicken coop." You watch as individuals settle into their beds, a contented sigh escaping their lips as their heads sink into the soft embrace of a feather pillow. The sounds are softer now, too, less rustling, more a gentle sigh of air. This marked a turning point. The pillow was no longer just a device to elevate your head. It was a truly comfortable companion, designed to soothe and support you through the night. It shows how even seemingly small innovations, like a change in pillow filling, can profoundly impact human well-being and daily life, gradually making the world a softer place, one feather at a time. Floating across the vast oceans, you now find yourself in the burgeoning settlements of the colonial Americas, specifically during the 17th and 18th centuries. Here, the story of the pillow is less about grand innovation and more about resourceful comfort, making do with what was available in a new and often challenging environment. The feather luxury of Europe wasn't always readily transportable or initially sustainable, leading to ingenious local adaptations. You observe early American settlers in their rustic log cabins or simple farmhouses. The beds are often homemade, and the concept of a dedicated, store-bought pillow, while not unknown, was certainly not universal. Instead, you see a practical, hands-on approach to creating headrests. People are using materials harvested directly from their new surroundings. Imagine a pillow filled with corn husks, carefully dried and stripped from the ears of maize, or perhaps a bag stuffed with dried leaves collected from the forest floor, or even pine needles from the abundant evergreen trees. While these might sound incredibly uncomfortable by modern standards, they were effective and readily available. You can almost hear the gentle crackle of corn husks as someone shifts in their sleep. This reliance on local, natural materials was a mainstream historical fact, driven by necessity and the principle of self-sufficiency that defined early colonial life. Importing luxury goods like feather-filled pillows from Europe was expensive and often impractical. Instead, the settlers became masters of improvisation, transforming the bounty of their new world into humble comforts. Every part of a harvested plant or animal was considered for its potential use, including its ability to provide a soft resting place. For a quirky tidbit, some colonial records hint at the use of chopped rags or discarded fabric scraps as pillow stuffing, especially in poorer households. Imagine a patchwork, quilt-like experience, but inside your pillow. Historians still argue whether the commonality of certain types of stiffness or neck pain among colonial populations could be linked to the firmness and unevenness of these improvised fillings. It's certainly a departure from ergonomic design, and you can almost hear a modern homesteader nodding approvingly. Waste not, want not, even for sleep. You witness the quiet resilience of these early communities. Despite the hardships, there's a constant effort to create small pockets of comfort and warmth in their homes. The colonial pillow, in its humble practicality, tells a story of adaptation ingenuity, and the enduring human desire for a soft place to lay one's head, even when that soft place is filled with something you might usually throw away. It shows how necessity truly is the mother of invention, transforming the raw elements of nature into surprisingly effective, albeit temporary, solutions for a good night's rest. From the rugged resourcefulness of the colonial Americas, you now plunge headlong into the roaring machinery and transformative power of the industrial age, spanning roughly the late 18th to the early 20th century. This era marks a monumental shift in the story of the pillow. No longer primarily a handmade craft or a luxury item, it becomes a product of mass production. This change dramatically impacted its accessibility, transforming it from a household staple for some to a ubiquitous item for nearly everyone. You observe the clatter and hum of new factories, initially in Britain and then spreading across Europe and America. What was once a labor-intensive process of hand stuffing and sewing is now being streamlined by machinery. Innovations in textile production meant that cloth for pillow covers became cheaper and more uniform. More significantly, advancements in processing raw materials, particularly feathers and cotton, made it possible to produce fillings on an unprecedented scale. Imagine vast quantities of cotton being cleaned and fluffed by machines, or feathers being sorted and processed with greater efficiency. This ability to produce materials in bulk was a mainstream historical fact that completely revolutionized the industry. The implications were profound. For the first time, a comfortable pillow became genuinely affordable for the working and middle classes. You see homes where once a rough sack was the norm, now boasting softer, more consistent pillows. This wasn't just about comfort. It was about a rising standard of living, a small but significant improvement in the daily lives of millions. The standardization of sizes also began, meaning that pillows started to look much more like the rectangles you see in stores today, rather than the varied, often irregular shapes of handmade versions. For a quirky tidbit, with mass production came the need for mass marketing. Early advertisements for pillows would often emphasize their hygiene and fluffiness, sometimes using rather exaggerated language to convince consumers of their superiority over old, lumpy, handmade versions. Historians still argue whether the increased availability of standardized pillows led to a general improvement in public health by offering a cleaner, more consistent sleeping surface, or if it merely shifted hygiene concerns to the new challenges of factory production. You can almost hear a Victorian marketing executive declaring, "Our pillows are so fluffy, you'll feel like you're sleeping on a cloud of perfectly processed goose feathers." You witness the sheer volume of pillows being churned out, a testament to the insatiable demand for comfort. The industrial age didn't just invent new machines, it democratized comfort, making the gentle embrace of a soft pillow accessible to a much wider segment of society. It shows how technological progress, even in seemingly mundane areas, can quietly but fundamentally alter the fabric of everyday life, making sleep just a little bit sweeter for everyone. Stepping out of the industrial factories, you find yourself transported into the somewhat more refined, yet equally fascinating, domestic world of the Victorian era, roughly from the mid-19th to the early 20th century. Here, the pillow undergoes a dual transformation. It becomes both an increasingly decorative household item and, surprisingly, a subject of growing hygiene concerns. Comfort was still key, but appearance and cleanliness began to play a much larger role. You observe Victorian homes, often filled to the brim with furniture, textiles, and decorative objects. The bed, already a prominent piece, became even more elaborate, adorned with multiple pillows. These weren't just for sleeping anymore. They were integral to the aesthetic of the bedroom. You see pillows covered in lace, embroidery, velvet, and fringe, often arranged in meticulous displays during the day. Imagine a bed piled high with an array of beautifully embellished cushions, each one a miniature work of art. It was a clear mainstream historical fact. Pillows were not just about personal comfort, but about demonstrating a family's good taste and affluence. Yet, beneath this decorative facade, a new concern was bubbling to the surface: hygiene. With growing scientific understanding of germs and disease, people started to worry about what might be lurking inside their pillows. Feather and down fillings, while comfortable, were prone to accumulating dust, mites, and even mold if not properly cared for. You might observe a meticulous Victorian housewife airing out pillows on a clothesline, or even sending them off to be renovated, a process where the old feathers were cleaned, fluffed, and sometimes topped up with new ones. This growing awareness of cleanliness and the need for regular airing or cleaning was a significant shift from earlier eras where such concerns were rarely documented. For a quirky tidbit, some Victorian health manuals advised against using pillows that were too soft, believing they could lead to a variety of ailments, including headaches and even brain fever. They often recommended firm, well-aired pillows, sometimes even ones filled with horsehair for extra rigidity. Imagine being told your soft, fluffy pillow was actually bad for your brain. Historians still argue whether these specific health warnings were based on genuine medical understanding or simply reflected a societal preference for stoicism and discipline, even in sleep. You can almost hear a modern wellness guru sighing. They were doing firm support before it was cool, but with horsehair, you witness the delicate balance between the desire for comfort, the display of wealth, and the emerging anxiety about unseen microscopic threats. The Victorian pillow, with its outward beauty and hidden complexities, perfectly embodies the era's blend of aesthetic flourish and scientific awakening. It shows how even the most intimate objects in our lives can reflect broader societal shifts and evolving understandings of health and well-being. As the Victorian era gracefully fades, you now find yourself in the early decades of the 20th century. This period isn't marked by a single revolutionary pillow invention, but rather by a quiet yet significant movement towards standardization and broader accessibility. The pillow, having shed some of its excessive Victorian ornamentation, becomes a more functional, yet still comfortable, item designed for the common home. You observe homes where efficiency and practicality are increasingly valued. The elaborate multi-pillow displays of the Victorians begin to recede, replaced by a more streamlined approach. Beds are often made with one or two consistent rectangular pillows, covered in simpler, more durable fabrics like cotton or linen. Imagine a neat, tidy bedroom where the pillows are no longer showpieces but trusted companions for sleep. This shift towards uniform sizes and fillings for the everyday household was a mainstream historical fact, driven by continued advancements in mass production and a growing consumer market that valued affordability and consistency. The focus shifted from ostentatious display to reliable comfort. Factories continued to refine their processes for cleaning and stuffing feathers and down, ensuring a more consistent product. Synthetic materials hadn't yet truly arrived on the scene in a big way for pillow fillings, so natural fibers remained dominant. You can almost feel the reassuring plumpness of a well-made feather pillow, now a common sight in bedrooms across the Western world. For a quirky tidbit, with the rise of department stores and mail-order catalogs, consumers in this era began to have more choices than ever before, leading to new ways of describing pillow qualities. Advertisements might boast about extra lofty or guaranteed dust-free fillings, aiming to differentiate products in a newly competitive market. Historians still argue whether the increased availability of affordable standardized pillows contributed to a measurable improvement in overall public sleep health, or if it simply made basic comfort more widespread. You can almost hear a 1920s salesperson declaring, "This pillow isn't just a pillow, madam. It's a testament to modern efficiency and unparalleled slumber." You witness the subtle transformation of the pillow from an individual's craft or a symbol of elite status into an unassuming yet essential piece of mass-produced comfort. This period laid the groundwork for the pillow as we largely know it today, a dependable, accessible item designed to provide consistent support and softness, helping countless individuals drift off to sleep. It shows how the quiet forces of industrialization and evolving consumer habits shape even the most intimate aspects of our daily routines. Leaving the relatively tame comfort of the early 20th century, you now step in the mid-20th century, an era defined by scientific breakthroughs and the dawn of a completely new class of materials. This is where you encounter the significant arrival of synthetics, ushering in the rise of foam and other artificial pillow materials. This innovation would dramatically diversify pillow options and eventually make comfort more widely customizable than ever before. You observe laboratories and factories buzzing with a different kind of energy. Scientists and engineers are experimenting with polymers, plastics, and various chemical compounds, leading to the creation of materials like polyurethane foam and polyester fibers. Imagine the initial skepticism, then the growing excitement as these new materials prove to be lightweight, durable, hypoallergenic, and, crucially, much cheaper to produce than natural fillings like feathers or cotton. This introduction of synthetic materials was a mainstream historical fact that democratized comfort on an even larger scale, making truly soft and resilient pillows accessible to nearly every household, regardless of income. The sensation is different now. Instead of the gentle give of feathers, you feel the springy, consistent support of foam or the uniform loft of polyester batting. These materials offered a consistent firmness that natural fillings often struggled to maintain over time. They were also less prone to dust mites and allergens, a significant advantage for many sleepers. You see mass production lines churning out uniform foam blocks, ready to be cut into pillow shapes, or vast machines producing endless rolls of fluffy polyester fill. For a quirky tidbit, early synthetic foam pillows were sometimes nicknamed bread loaf pillows due to their initial uniform, somewhat stiff appearance before they softened with use. Historians still argue whether the initial stiffness and lack of breathability of some early synthetics caused more initial discomfort compared to natural fillings, despite their long-term benefits. You can almost hear a mid-century consumer exclaiming, "It's so plasticky, but it certainly holds its shape." You witness the rapid adoption of these new materials, first in industrial applications, then quickly moving into home furnishings. The humble pillow, for centuries reliant on nature's offerings, was now firmly in the realm of human-made innovation. This shift, opened up a universe of possibilities for design, firmness, and hypoallergenic properties, forever changing what we expect from our nightly headrest. It shows how scientific advancement, often born in unexpected places, can profoundly impact the most intimate corners of our daily lives. From the quiet hum of synthetic production, you now transition to a more dynamic, often challenging landscape. The use and adaptation of pillows in times of war and travel. This era isn't about domestic luxury, but about necessity, resilience, and the creative solutions found to provide a modicum of comfort in extraordinary circumstances, particularly from the 19th and 20th centuries onwards. You observe soldiers on long campaigns, often sleeping in harsh, unforgiving conditions. A traditional, bulky feather pillow is out of the question. Instead, you see improvisation at its finest. Soldiers might roll up their uniform jackets, creating a makeshift headrest. Or perhaps they would stuff their duffel bags with spare clothes to create a crude but better than nothing cushion. Imagine the exhaustion, the longing for even a moment of comfort, as a soldier tries to catch a few hours of sleep on a hard, cold ground, their head resting on whatever scrap of fabric they could muster. This constant need for adaptable, portable comfort in adverse conditions was a mainstream historical fact that spurred innovation, even if it was born out of grim necessity. Then, shift your gaze to the burgeoning age of long-distance travel. As trains, steamships, and later airplanes became more common, the need for comfort on the go became apparent. You see the emergence of travel pillows, albeit in very rudimentary forms initially. Perhaps a small, inflatable rubber pillow for a long train journey, or a dedicated, compact fabric pillow for a ship's cabin. These were often designed to be lightweight and easily portable, a stark contrast to the plush, stationary pillows of home. For a quirky tidbit, during World War II, some ingenious soldiers were known to create sand pillows by filling small bags with sand from foxholes, shaping them to provide a temporary headrest. While certainly not soft, it offered some elevation and stability. Historians still argue whether the cumulative sleep deprivation and lack of proper head support during extended military campaigns contributed significantly to long-term health issues or psychological stress among veterans. You can almost hear a weary traveler from a bygone era sighing, "If only I had one of those neck pillows with the little micro beads." You witness the human spirit's unwavering quest for comfort, even amidst the chaos of war or the tedium of prolonged journeys. The pillow, in these contexts, isn't a luxury, but a crucial tool for survival, offering a brief respite, a small slice of normalcy in otherwise abnormal circumstances. It shows how the fundamental need for rest transcends even the most challenging environments, driving people to adapt, improvise, and seek out any means to lay their head down in peace, even for a fleeting moment. Leave the challenges of war and travel behind. You now embark on a delightful global tour, exploring the fascinating diversity of global pillow traditions. This journey reveals that while the fundamental purpose of a pillow remains universal, to support the head during rest, the materials, designs, and cultural significance attached to them vary wonderfully across different societies and historical periods. You observe countless unique methods of resting the head. In parts of West Africa, you might see beautifully carved wooden headrests, similar in principle to the ancient Egyptian designs, often used to protect intricate hairstyles or simply to provide a cool, elevated surface for sleeping outdoors. Imagine the smooth, cool wood against your neck on a warm night, designed for practicality as much as for comfort. This widespread use of carved wooden headrests in various African cultures is a mainstream historical fact, often associated with preserving elaborate coiffures and providing airflow. Then, you might journey to rural Japan, even into relatively recent history, and encounter traditional Sobakawa pillows, firm pillows filled with buckwheat hulls. These pillows are renowned for their breathability, ability to conform to the head's shape without losing firmness, and subtle, earthy scent. Imagine the gentle rustle of the hulls as you adjust your head, a sound that is itself part of the sleep experience for many. It's a stark contrast to the plushness of down, yet deeply comforting in its own way. For a quirky tidbit, in some parts of Scandinavia, particularly in colder climates, historical records mention pillows being filled with reindeer hair or even moss for insulation and softness. Imagine a pillow that actually helps keep you warm on a frigid winter night. Historians still argue whether the distinct types of pillow materials in different regions influence the prevalence of certain sleep positions or even cultural attitudes towards sleep posture. You can almost hear a modern tourist exclaiming, "Wait, my pillow is made of what now?" You witness the sheer ingenuity born out of local environments and cultural preferences. From the intricately embroidered, often stiff cushions of Central Asia designed to protect valuable headwear, to simple, sun-dried grass mats rolled up in some Pacific Island communities. Each pillow tells a story of its people, their resources, and their unique understanding of comfort. It shows how profoundly culture shapes even the most basic human needs, transforming the simple act of resting one's head into a canvas for diverse and fascinating traditions. Having explored the tangible forms of pillows across cultures, you now delve into a more ethereal realm, the rich tapestry of pillow lore and superstitions. For millennia, the object beneath our heads at night has been far more than just a piece of fabric and stuffing. It has been imbued with symbolic power, considered a conduit for dreams, a ward against evil, or even a tool for divination. You observe ancient communities whispering about the hidden properties of their sleeping surfaces. In many cultures, a pillow wasn't just where you rested your head, but where your spirit temporarily left your body during sleep. Hence, disturbing a person's pillow or flipping it over was considered deeply disrespectful, even dangerous, as it might prevent their spirit from returning safely. Imagine the intense caution surrounding such a mundane object. This widespread belief in the pillow as a spiritual anchor or a gateway to other realms is a mainstream historical fact found across numerous civilizations. You might see a young maiden in a medieval village carefully placing a four-leaf clover or a piece of rosemary under her pillow, hoping to dream of her future beloved. Or perhaps a fearful traveler tucking a small amulet or a piece of iron beneath their headrest to ward off nightmares or evil spirits believed to roam at night. These practices highlight the pillow's role as a personal guardian, a protective barrier during the vulnerability of sleep. For a quirky tidbit, in some European folk traditions, it was believed that placing a Bible or a knife under a child's pillow would protect them from night terrors or demonic influence. Imagine explaining that one to a modern sleep consultant. Historians still argue whether these superstitions arose purely from cultural anxieties about the unknown realm of sleep, or if they were practical attempts to find comfort and control in a world without scientific explanations for phenomena like bad dreams or sleep paralysis. You can almost hear a skeptical grandmother from the past muttering, "A knife under the pillow? That'll certainly make me sleep soundly." Not. You witness the profound connection between the human mind, the mystery of dreams, and the simple object that cradles the head. The pillow becomes a silent repository of hopes, fears, and ancient beliefs, reflecting humanity's enduring fascination with the nocturnal world. It shows how even the most ordinary objects can become infused with extraordinary meaning, carrying the weight of generations of folklore and whispered wisdom. Moving beyond the realm of folklore, you now enter a more analytical space, the science of sleep and ergonomics, particularly from the mid-20th century onwards. This is where the pillow transitions from a mere comfort item or symbolic object to a meticulously designed tool, engineered to optimize posture, support spinal alignment, and genuinely improve sleep quality based on scientific principles. You observe sleep laboratories, bustling with researchers and volunteers connected to sensors. No longer is pillow design a matter of trial and error or tradition. It's a subject of rigorous study. Scientists are analyzing sleep positions, pressure points, and spinal curvature to understand how a pillow can best support the body. This scientific approach to pillow design, focusing on ergonomics and orthopedics, is a mainstream historical fact that completely revolutionized the industry. Cushions are no longer just soft, they are supportive, contouring, and posture correcting. You see the development of new shapes and materials, specifically engineered to provide targeted support. This includes pillows with contoured designs to cradle the neck and head, specialized body pillows for side sleepers, and varying firmness levels to accommodate different preferences and body types. Imagine selecting a pillow not just for its fluffiness, but for its precise ability to align your cervical spine. It's a far cry from the one-size-fits-all approach of earlier eras. For a quirky tidbit, early ergonomic pillows sometimes looked rather strange, with odd bumps and hollows, leading to humorous comparisons with abstract art or even alien headgear. Historians still argue whether the initial emphasis on rigid, perfectly contoured orthopedic pillows sometimes overlooked the importance of individual comfort and adaptability, leading to a period of over-engineered rather than truly comfortable designs. You can almost hear a sleep scientist from the 1970s proudly declaring, "This pillow isn't just comfortable, it's correct." You witness the profound impact of medical and physiological understanding on a seemingly simple object. The pillow becomes an extension of healthcare, a tool in the pursuit of better well-being, rather than just an accessory. This era underscores how scientific inquiry can transform even the most familiar items into sophisticated instruments designed to enhance our health and comfort, making sleep not just restful, but genuinely restorative. From the scientific scrutiny of ergonomics, you now witness a specific and immensely popular outcome: the global phenomenon known as memory foam mania. Emerging in the late 20th century and truly taking hold in the 21st, this material transformed the pillow market, offering a unique type of personalized comfort that captivated millions. You observe the remarkable properties of this material. Originally developed by NASA in the 1960s to improve aircraft seat cushioning and crash protection, viscoelastic polyurethane foam, or simply memory foam, found its true calling in mattresses and pillows. Imagine pressing your hand into a block of foam and watching it slowly, sensuously conform to your shape, then just as slowly return to its original form. This unique property, known as viscoelasticity, allowed pillows to perfectly cradle the head and neck, distributing weight evenly and relieving pressure points. This widespread adoption of memory foam for its unique conforming properties is a mainstream historical fact that reshaped the sleep industry. The sensation of sleeping on memory foam is unlike anything that came before. It's less about fluffiness and more about a firm, yet yielding embrace. You can almost feel it molding precisely to the contours of your head and neck, offering a customized support system that reduces tossing and turning. It's a feeling of being gently enveloped rather than simply resting on a surface. This precise, individualized support was a major selling point, promising a deeper, more restorative sleep. For a quirky tidbit, early memory foam products sometimes had a distinct chemical odor, often referred to as off-gassing, which could be a deterrent for some sensitive sleepers. Historians still argue whether the initial marketing hype around memory foam's space-age origins sometimes overshadowed genuine scientific studies on its long-term benefits for specific sleep ailments. You can almost hear a delighted salesperson exclaiming, "It remembers you," like a friendly, silent cloud, but firm. You witness the seemingly endless array of memory foam products flooding the market: solid blocks, shredded fill, contoured designs, even infused with cooling gels to combat the material's tendency to retain heat. The memory foam pillow became a symbol of modern sleep technology, promising an unprecedented level of personalized comfort. It shows how a material developed for one highly specialized purpose can unexpectedly revolutionize a completely different industry, forever changing our expectations for a good night's rest. From the tactile wonders of memory foam, you now enter the truly cutting edge and sometimes slightly bewildering world of smart pillows and tech integration. We've moved beyond mere material science. Now, the pillow is becoming a connected device, a silent, soft hub for data collection and even subtle intervention, particularly in the last decade or two. You observe pillows that are no longer just passive objects. They are equipped with tiny, discrete sensors, microphones, and even speakers, all designed to enhance your sleep experience in previously unimaginable ways. Imagine a pillow that can track your sleep cycles, monitor your breathing patterns, or even detect if you're snoring. This integration of advanced technology into a seemingly simple household item is a mainstream historical fact that points to the future of personalized sleep. The sensation of using a smart pillow is subtly different. While the core comfort might be familiar, There's an underlying awareness that this object is doing more than just supporting your head. Some smart pillows can gently vibrate to encourage you to change position if you're snoring, or gradually warm/cool to optimize your sleep temperature. Others might have embedded speakers that play soothing ambient sounds, or a quiet alarm that only wakes you without disturbing a partner. You might find yourself checking an app on your phone the next morning to see a detailed analysis of your night's rest, courtesy of your pillow. For a quirky tidbit, some of the more ambitious smart pillow concepts include features like integrated aromatherapy dispensers that release calming scents at certain sleep stages, or even subtle light cues to help regulate your circadian rhythm. Historians still argue whether the collection of personal sleep data by these devices represents a truly beneficial step towards personalized health, or if it raises new privacy concerns about our most vulnerable hours. You can almost hear a modern tech enthusiast gleefully proclaiming, "My pillow knows more about my sleep than I do." You witness the quiet revolution occurring beneath our very heads. The pillow, once a symbol of humble comfort, is now a sophisticated piece of wearable, or rather, sleepable, technology, blending physical support with digital intelligence. This evolution shows how our relentless pursuit of optimization and data-driven insights is transforming even the most traditional aspects of our lives, making sleep a measurable, analyzable, and increasingly smart experience. Stepping back from the futuristic hum of smart pillows, you now enter a realm where the pillow transcends mere utility to become a canvas for expression, pillow art, and symbolism. Throughout history and continuing into the present day, pillows have been adorned, crafted, and imbued with meaning, evolving into powerful cultural metaphors and objects of significant artistic merit. You observe textiles from countless eras and regions, from the intricate embroidery of Renaissance Europe to the vibrant patterns of folk art from Eastern Europe or Central Asia. Here, pillows are not just functional items, but serve as platforms for displaying skill, storytelling, and cultural identity. Imagine a pillowcase painstakingly hand-stitched with scenes from a local legend, or adorned with symbols of fertility and prosperity. This widespread use of pillows as a medium for artistic expression and cultural symbolism is a mainstream historical fact that highlights their intimate place in human homes. The sensation now is one of quiet appreciation for craftsmanship and meaning. You might trace the delicate threads of a silk pillow from ancient China, depicting a serene landscape, or feel the raised texture of beadwork on a ceremonial pillow from a Native American tribe. These aren't just covers, they are narratives, blessings, and artistic statements They transform the act of resting your head into an interaction with beauty and tradition. For a quirky tidbit, in some cultures, particularly in parts of Russia and Ukraine, dowry pillows were intricately embroidered by young women for years before their marriage, showcasing their domestic skills and carrying wishes for a prosperous future. These were often among the most treasured possessions of a household. Historians still argue whether the decline in such artisanal pillow-making traditions in the modern era represents a loss of cultural heritage or simply a natural evolution towards mass-produced goods. You can almost hear a proud, ancient artisan saying, "This isn't just for sleep, dear. It's my life's work." You witness the profound connection between human creativity and the objects that share our most vulnerable moments. The pillow, in this context, is a silent witness to generations of artistry, reflecting the aesthetic sensibilities, beliefs, and aspirations of the people who made and cherished them. It shows how even the most intimate objects can become powerful symbols, transcending their practical purpose to tell a richer, more beautiful story. Stepping away from the artistic and symbolic, you now enter a more pragmatic, yet equally fascinating, dimension of the pillow's history, its economic impact. While often overlooked, the production, trade, and sale of pillows and their components have, for centuries, constituted a significant, albeit quiet, segment of global economies, influencing livelihoods and trade routes. You observe vast networks of production and exchange, from the humble farmer collecting straw or feathers to the textile mills weaving fabric to the factories churning out foam. Countless individuals and industries are involved in bringing a pillow to your bed. Imagine the sheer volume of cotton, feathers, and synthetic chemicals required globally each year to meet the demand for pillows. This extensive supply chain and the substantial economic activity it generates is a mainstream historical fact, often underestimated because of the pillow's seemingly simple nature. The sensation here is one of interconnectedness. You realize that your comfortable headrest is the culmination of countless transactions, jobs, and processes spanning continents. Consider the global trade in down and feathers, where ethical sourcing and quality control are significant concerns, or the petrochemical industry that supplies the raw materials for synthetic foams. Each component contributes to a complex economic web. For a quirky tidbit, in the past, the quality of a pillow's filling could sometimes be a point of contention in international trade, with merchants trying to pass off inferior materials as premium. This led to early forms of quality assurance and, occasionally, rather dramatic disputes over lumpy shipments. Historians still argue Whether the advent of mass-produced, cheaper synthetic pillows had a net positive or negative impact on the livelihoods of traditional artisans and farmers who previously supplied natural fillings. You can almost hear a shrewd, ancient merchant haggling. Are these truly Mongolian goose feathers, or just very ambitious chickens? You witness the silent but powerful economic engine that hums beneath the surface of the pillow industry. It shows how even the most basic human needs, like a place to rest one's head, translate into complex global markets, supporting countless lives and driving innovation through supply and demand. The humble pillow, in its quiet way, has always been a surprisingly active participant in the grand tapestry of human commerce. Shifting from the economic currents, you now enter a realm that has perpetually evolved alongside the pillow hygiene through the ages. From ancient concerns about pests to modern anxieties about allergens, humanity's efforts to keep their sleeping surfaces clean have been a constant, often surprising, theme in the pillow's long history. You observe various epochs, each with its own approach to cleanliness. In ancient Mesopotamia, the hard stone headrests were easy enough to wipe down, serving a crude form of pest control. In ancient Egypt, the elevated wooden headrests allowed for airflow, which helped prevent moisture buildup and, consequently, mildew. Imagine the meticulous process of scrubbing a wooden headrest with sand and water in the desert heat. This continuous, though varied, concern for keeping sleeping surfaces clean to prevent pests and disease is a mainstream historical fact that has driven innovations in materials and care methods. As pillows became softer and stuffed with natural materials like straw, feathers, and cotton, new challenges arose. These materials were prone to accumulating dust, attracting insects, and harboring dust mites. You see medieval households airing out their straw beds and pillows outdoors, beating them to dislodge debris. In later centuries, especially the Victorian era, as scientific understanding of germs grew, the emphasis on airing, beating, and even baking pillows in the sun became more pronounced. Imagine the seasonal ritual of dragging all the bedding outside for a thorough sunbath, hoping to kill off anything unseen. For a quirky tidbit, some historical texts suggest that people would occasionally burn old, infested pillows to completely eradicate severe pest problems, rather than an attempt to clean them. This was, of course, a last resort. Historians still argue whether the historical lack of effective pillow hygiene contributed significantly to widespread respiratory illnesses or skin conditions, especially before the advent of modern washing techniques and hypoallergenic materials. You can almost hear a modern public health official shuddering. Just think of the dust mites. You witness the tireless, often thankless, efforts to maintain a clean sleeping environment. From rudimentary sunning to complex cleaning rituals, humanity has always sought to ensure that the place where they lay their head is as free from contaminants as possible. It shows how our evolving understanding of health and cleanliness constantly reshapes our interaction with even the most intimate objects in our homes, making the humble pillow a testament to our ongoing quest for a healthy, restful sleep. Leaving the historical concerns of hygiene, you now peer into the near future, exploring the exciting and often imaginative realm of the future of pillow design. This isn't just about incremental improvements, it's about radical rethinking, driven by advanced materials, personalized medicine, and even artificial intelligence, promising a level of customized comfort we've only dreamed of. You observe research labs and design studios where engineers and sleep scientists are experimenting with truly revolutionary concepts. Imagine pillows made from aerogels, materials so light they barely register, yet capable of incredible support and thermal regulation. Or perhaps pillows with adaptive internal structures that automatically adjust their firmness and shape in real time as you shift positions during the night, sensing your movements and responding instantly. This constant pursuit of ultra personalized and responsive sleep support is a mainstream historical fact that continues to drive innovation. The sensation here is one of anticipation. You can almost feel a pillow that understands your unique sleep patterns and physical needs, proactively optimizing itself for your perfect night's rest. Think of pillows with integrated biofeedback mechanisms that gently guide you into deeper sleep stages, or even ones that can deliver targeted micromassages to alleviate tension. The possibilities seem boundless, pushing the boundaries of what a pillow can be. For a quirky tidbit, some speculative designs include pillows that can literally grow or shrink on demand using expandable polymers or air chambers, allowing you to fine-tune your loft with a simple voice command. Historians still argue whether the increasing reliance on smart and technologically advanced pillows will lead to a new form of sleep dependency, where basic comfort without high-tech intervention becomes less satisfying. You can almost hear a future insomniac musing, "My pillow is telling me I'm stressed, but it also just adjusted itself for optimal neck alignment." Confusing, yet comforting. You witness the relentless human drive to perfect every aspect of our lives, even our sleep. The pillow of tomorrow promises to be a highly intelligent, responsive companion, far removed from its stone and straw ancestors. It shows how innovation, fueled by science and imagination, continues to transform the most fundamental objects around us, ensuring that our nightly repose becomes ever more tailored and restorative. From the visionary designs of the future, you now gently pull back, grounding yourself in a timeless truth. Despite millennia of evolution, from stone blocks to smart foam, the pillow's enduring purpose has remained remarkably constant. It continues to fulfill a fundamental human need that transcends cultures, technologies, and eras. The desire for a comfortable, safe, and supportive place to lay one's head. You observe the simplicity of this core function. Whether it's an ancient Egyptian headrest or a modern orthopedic marvel, the primary goal is always the same: to elevate the head and align the spine, facilitating rest. Imagine the universal sigh of relief as anyone, from a Roman emperor to a medieval peasant, finally lays their head down after a long day. This unchanging core function of providing head and neck support for restful sleep is a mainstream historical fact that has persisted through every stage of the pillow's development. The sensation here is one of profound continuity. You realize that while materials and designs have changed dramatically, the fundamental desire for a good night's sleep and the role the pillow plays in achieving it has not. It is a testament to the basic physiological needs of the human body and the universal quest for comfort and recuperation. The pillow, in all its forms, is a silent partner in this essential daily ritual. For a quirky tidbit, despite all the technological advancements, some people still swear by traditional, incredibly simple pillow fillings like millet hulls, or even just a rolled up towel, finding them superior to any high-tech solution. Historians still argue whether the perceived need for complex, specialized pillows in modern society is truly driven by physiological necessity, or if it is partly a result of marketing and the constant pursuit of the next best thing. You can almost hear a satisfied sleeper from any era saying, "Ah, just right." You witness the quiet resilience of this simple object. It has adapted, transformed, and endured, always returning to its basic, indispensable role. The pillow, in its essence, is a symbol of rest, rejuvenation, and the timeless human need for a gentle cradle at the close of day. It shows how truly fundamental objects, those that meet our most basic needs, possess an inherent permanence that outlasts empires and innovations, anchoring us to a universal experience. Finally, you return to the present moment, to your own space, your own time, and the very pillow beneath your head. After millennia of evolution, from stone blocks to smart foam, From humble necessity to high-tech marvel, the pillow culminates in its most intimate and personal role. Your pillow, your sanctuary. It is here, in your own bed, that its long and fascinating story truly becomes relevant to you. You observe the familiar contours of your own pillow. Perhaps it's a fluffy down cloud, a firm memory foam slab, or a hybrid of both. It's perfectly adapted to your sleeping style, your comfort preferences, and your unique needs. Imagine the quiet satisfaction as you settle in, feeling the familiar give and support that has been refined over thousands of years of human ingenuity. This personalized sanctuary, designed for your specific comfort, is the ultimate culmination of the pillow's journey, a mainstream historical fact that underscores modern design. The sensation now is profoundly personal. This is not just a pillow, it is your pillow. It bears the imprint of your dreams, absorbs your sighs of contentment, and silently witnesses your nightly journey into unconsciousness. It's a place of respite, a haven from the day's demands, and a crucial component of your restorative sleep. Every night, it fulfills that ancient purpose, silently supporting you as you drift off. For a quirky tidbit, despite all the science and technology, many people develop a deep, almost irrational attachment to their personal pillow, finding it incredibly difficult to sleep without it, even when traveling. Historians still argue whether this profound emotional connection to a specific sleeping object is a purely modern phenomenon, or if it has roots in ancient superstitions about the pillow as a personal spirit guardian. You can almost hear your inner voice whispering, "Don't touch my pillow." You witness the quiet, constant presence of this everyday object in your life. It is the end of a long historical journey, but the beginning of your personal nightly one. As you prepare to drift off, consider the countless heads that have rested, dreamt, and found solace on surfaces, both hard and soft, across countless millennia. Your pillow connects you to that vast human experience, a timeless bridge to rest. The historical journey of the pillow, from its hard, utilitarian beginnings to the soft, smart sanctuary beneath your head, now gently fades. The sounds of ancient stone being carved, the rustle of medieval straw, the gentle swish of Renaissance silk, and the quiet hum of modern sensors all recede into the soft background. Allow the thoughts of bygone eras and distant lands to slowly dissolve like whispers on a warm breeze. Feel the steady support of your own pillow, its familiar contours cradling you, reassuring you that all is well. As the details of history recede, let your mind become quiet, calm, and clear. Each breath in, a wave of calm. Each breath out, a release of any lingering thought. Your body feels heavy, sinking deeper into the comfort of your bed. The soft darkness surrounds you, a gentle embrace. Allow yourself to surrender to the quiet, to the stillness, knowing that your journey through time is complete, and your journey into deep, peaceful sleep is just beginning. Let the quiet hum of the night, perhaps the gentle whisper of a fan, guide you further down. Your eyelids feel heavy, so heavy. Drift